Hello there. You're welcome to this very course titled Practical Method for Effective Access Control, Authentication, and Monitoring of Financial Institution Systems and Digital Banking Channels. This course is quite an important one because the threat landscape is expanding greatly. And when you talk about access control, they say in security is the first line of defense. So, how organizations secure their system matters, especially a financial institution. The security of a financial institution system, especially as relates to access control, is a crucial requirement that without getting it right, the possibility of such an organization being breached, it's highly possible. So as we approach this training, we're going to be learning quite a lot, and I'm excited about it. And I believe that at the end of the training, you're going to learn a lot. So there are a couple of things we're going to learn as we approach this training section. We're going to look at, you know, um, expanded threat landscape. We're going to look at that. We're also going to see the other aspect, which has to do with conducting risk assessment, being able to evaluate the risk that the institution is exposed to, and that will enable the management and those who are responsible for security implement the necessary control to protect such institution. We're also going to see the layered security. We're going to see how various controls can be brought together to protect and enhance the protection of the financial institution. We're also going to learn about the multi-factor authentication as part of the layer security, why it is important, and how it needs to be implemented to ensure that the organization system is well secured. We're also going to look at the other key points, which is monitoring, logging, and reporting. When it comes to security, effective monitoring is key because that will enable such an organization know when things do go wrong, and also logging users activity and reporting activity of users who is doing what within the system is also a vital requirement. Okay, so we're also going to be looking at other areas which like the email systems and internet browser, how the risk we face there and how to ensure that we effectively implement controls around that. We're going to be looking at the call center and IT help desk authentication. Okay, so these are also part of what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at data aggregators and other customer permission entities that integrate with the financial institution and how to ensure we have effective access control around this and also authentication mechanism. We're also going to look at user and customer awareness and education, which is vital. As you implement key controls, it's important that both customers and end users within the organization are given the right training. Okay, and then we're going to look at customer and user identity verification and also look at the relevant controls. I mean, there are relevant controls as relates to access management. Okay, which we're going in that section we're going to be looking at authentication, various authentication solutions, and then how it's to be implemented, password controls, access and transaction controls, customer call centers and IT help desk controls that needs to be implemented, and also controls around customers of the organization, the financial institution. Okay, and we're also going to look at controls around transaction logging and monitoring controls, and also system access control for end users in the organization. And we're also going to do a lot that relates to privileged users control, because privileged users are, the right they have on the system is quite, you know, risky. That if there's not well managed, if they decide to go rogue themselves, they can do harm to the institution. So we need to look at that. We're also going to see system and network design and architecture controls that need to be considered. And then we also see email security control. So it's going to be a great session. And I want to say that as we talk about the objective of this course sets out, I mean, risk management principles and practices that can support a financial institution's authentication. Okay, and that's so all the various principles, practices, and controls that can help support a financial institution's authentication is what this um, course is going to drive at, and it covers the following areas: authentication of users accessing the financial institution's information system, including employees, board members, third parties service accounts, okay, applications and devices. I mean, we all call this collectively, these are all users, whether they are employees, whether they are board members, they are third parties, service providers, or service accounts that are on systems or application and devices that connect. They are all users. How are they managed? What are the kind of control that should be around the granting them access and also authenticating such users? We're also going to consider, okay, as relates to authentication around consumer and business customers. Okay, their financial institutions have their own customer, business customers, which collectively we call them customers that are authorized to access the digital banking channels, for instance, and systems. We're going to also look at how to ensure that they securely grant them access to the system and also authenticate them and continuously monitor the activity on the system. So, as we look at this principle, you're going to know that the application of these principles and practices, I must confess to you, may vary at at the financial institutions level. Different financial institutions will have a different approach. Okay, and this is based on the fact that we have different. Each organization have their own complexity, risk also have their own risk assessments based on the risk assessment and also risk appetite and tolerance level. That would determine the level of control such institution is willing to implement. Okay, yeah. So we're going to be going to the key session where we talk about expanded trade landscape in our next session. Thank you.